both of you. Start with Rafael. Just big picture, overall thoughts on the season and your assessment overall.
Yeah, I think. I think the season was frustrating and disappointing. We expected to win more games in the regular season than we did, and I think we expected to win more games in the playoffs than we did. And I understand that we took a lot of injuries this year, and I do care about the injuries, but the expectation for winning is with the players that we have playing. So, and I think that feeling of disappointment is definitely felt everywhere in our locker room with all of our players, all of our coaches, all of our front office and ownership. I think everyone feels the same on that front.
Rafael, Ime, do you guys feel that you can compete with the top of the Western Conference with some small tweaks to this roster, or do you feel like that you guys need to make big moves in this offseason?
In terms of the roster, we'll look at everything over the offseason and look at all potential deals. But getting back to Vanessa's question, we think that the players in our locker room can win a lot of games and can be very competitive. And my firm expectation is, we have players coming back from injury. They will help us. If we bring back largely the same group, I think the continuity will help us. But the single biggest thing is, my expectation is that Tari, Jabari, Reed, Alpi, Amen all need to be way better basketball players next year, and I think they should be. That's on them, it's on us, but I expect that growth from them, and so I expect to be an improved team next year, regardless of our ability or willingness to bring in any outside talent.
So, Ime, from a coaching standpoint, do you echo Rafael's position? Do you feel like your roster is good enough if everybody's healthy to get to the next level?
Absolutely. I think we had expectations that we fell short of. Due to circumstances, injuries, and things like that, they may have changed at some point. But when we're whole and healthy, competing is the least of anything. We feel that we can beat anybody and play at the highest level, and so this year changed due to that. But as is constructed and what we had, we still feel we should have won more than 52. We still should have won the first round series, and we had some injuries there, and they did as well. But we had more than enough to get it done, and so it would be interesting to see us whole and healthy. But like I said, even with what we had, we felt we should have done better.
Rafael, you've mentioned a couple times competitive, but when you bring in a guy like Durant, when you make the move like you made last offseason, certainly it seems like you're looking for more than just to be able to compete, right?
No.
So you weren't thinking championship?
That's part of competing. Like you just go out and compete. Like there's no trade I can make. There's no draft pick I can make that is going to say, oh, we're guaranteed a championship. That's not it. You have to compete. This is a hard league. Like the margins are very thin. Sometimes the hardest series a team has on the way to a championship run is their first round series. So to me, what the goal is to put a roster in place that has a chance to compete for a championship, but that doesn't mean if you don't make the finals or something, you failed. Like in terms of putting together a roster that can compete, you want one that can compete. And not once did I ever say with respect to bringing Kevin in that it was championship or bust. I never said that to him. I never said that to anybody. That's very much not our attitude. We thought he could be additive to the team. He was. We thought he could be a wonderful example to the team to the young guys of how to work like a professional, how to like really hone your craft. I thought he did a really good job of that. Yeah, that's the thought process.
Brandon.
Rafael, you mentioned the younger players just a moment ago. Specifically with Tari and Ahmed, obviously Tari has a contract situation. I'm just curious if those are guys that you are interested in, just giving your comments earlier, guys that you're interested in extending, and where you guys are, what the status is with that.
Yeah, I mean, I generally just don't talk about contracts, but I'm happy to talk about them as players. They're an enormous part of what we've done, and I fully expect that they're going to be with us for the foreseeable future. Obviously, there's choices and everything has to be made, and nothing's guaranteed. But I'm extremely high on both of them.
Lashard.
During last offseason, after you signed Dorian, you spoke about how you signed him because you wanted him to kind of not take the place, but kind of fill in the void left by Dylan Brooks. What was kind of your understanding on his injury timeline as far as recovering? Were you surprised it took as long for him to come back onto the court?
Yeah, I mean, I was and he was too. It was just a slower process than anybody wanted. The answer is yes.
Rafael, do you expect to go into the repeater tax again next year? Is that something ownership has kind of okayed, so to speak?
I mean, it's a discussion. We're not going to be in the repeater, just so you know. That doesn't apply to us because this was our first year in the tax. I think you're asking were we going to be in the tax. I think we'll see. The roster, the way it's set up, we very likely will be, but all of that's like what contracts become available, what trades happen, all of this. I don't see us. I don't see Tillman ever wanting to take a step back that isn't strategic. So if we weren't, it's because of some opportunity to do something else that is basketball related. I think I've told you guys a couple times. I think in a lot of respects, I have kind of the best owner in sports. His goals are really aligned with mine, and it's all about winning. And he's provided amazing amounts of support, and I expect he will continue to.
Coach, on last year, you all were second in the West, and you were eliminated in the first round. And when we had the exit interviews last year, you talked about how the team was, and then you all talked about going into the next season, and then you all blew the team up. And you made some changes in the team, but now you're pretty much in the same situation. Now you were successful in the regular season, maybe not as successful as you want to be. Lost in the first round. Is there any mindset that some more changes are going to happen, or do you all know that as we speak today, or could something change later on?
Well, I mean, changes are always an option. You do have guys that are free agents and have contract situations, but to say blowing the team up or whatever, the Durant trade and changing the look of our team, that was something that happened and wasn't a plan going into off-season last year. But for us, I think improvement across the board is, like Rafael mentioned, with our young guys, that's not making any changes, that's growth from those guys. Getting everybody back healthy is a part of it, and we'll have that veteran mix than what we kind of envisioned going into the season, which was Fred and Steven not having season-ending injuries, Dorian coming around from the surgery, and Kevin available in the playoffs, and you mix that with our young core. We have a great outlook with that as far as our opinion. We won 52, felt we should have won 60 plus. Lost in the first round, even with the injuries and the injuries the Lakers had, and still felt we could have made it out of that series as well. And so, due to the circumstances, expectations can change, but we still thought we'd do better. And I think that's the plan coming back with the guys we have next year. With everybody healthy, but at the same time, you never know how people respond to surgeries and recovery, and so we're not putting it all back on Fred or Steven. And the main thing is our young guys continuing to grow and seeing that mix and what it looks like when we're all healthy.
Thank you.
Ben.
Rafael, you mentioned the frustrating situation with Dorian coming back from his leg surgery. With Fred and Steven, are there any concerns that they might have similar limitations next year? What's the outlook as far as just what you can reasonably expect from them next season and when they'll be fully cleared to play?
I mean, the honest answer is there's always concerns coming off of surgery because you don't know how everybody's body is going to recover and everything else. the big difference is Dorian's surgery was postseason, and you know Fred's was, I don't know, 9 months ago now, whatever it was, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, and Stevens was like 3 or 4 months ago. So I think that they have the luxury of you know, his timeline was to be ready going into preseason, and then it ended up extending. So when it bled, it really hampered him. That's not their timeline. So hopefully it's better, but they're not young guys, and like Ime said, like, yeah, you know, we're not completely dependent upon them. It's not, you know, the off-season plan isn't, oh, they're coming back, it's fine. I think it's much more looking at our young guys and saying, you guys need to improve. You've had this year, you need to come back kind of, you know, better than you were at the end. And by the way, I think all of them were better at the end than they were at the beginning. And so so it's really, you know, that's where we're looking for the real improvement. I do think Fred and Steven will make complete recoveries. You know, we expect that to be for the beginning of the season, but even if it bleeds a little bit, you know, if those guys, if the rest of our team is doing what they should be doing, I think we'll be in a good place.
Varun.
Both of you guys, do you expect changes to the offensive structure and or the coaching staff for next season?
Offensive structure, I would say the ability to play different ways with the personnel that was missing. That should obviously change. You know, you look at your floor general kind of being out and how we had to kind of adjust on the fly, and with our choice to stay with Reed and Amin and give those guys a really good look at the point guard position, it changed some of the things we could do, no doubt. You know, it's just situational things, end the game situations, but that was a choice we made, and I think it will help us long term. But having certain guys back, I think Steven is very underrated in what he does for us, and so losing him halfway through definitely affected us as well. And so just the versatility and Reed and Amin growing this year, and not having to rely on Kevin as much or Alperen as much, and having a point guard back should definitely help the offensive structure flow of things, and you know, winning at certain points and not losing late game situations. And so in the totality of the guys that we have back, I think in general we should look better, we should look different, and close out the games and have some of the lumps and ups and downs that we had at the end of the games. And so that'll be exciting to see that part in general. Coaching staff wise, no, I don't see any changes.
Kelly.
Coach, in terms of the reflection after game 6, is it harder to reflect knowing that, you know, there isn't another game, or is it easier because, you know, this is going to be the offseason starts now, you have the new season to start from the new page?
No, I wouldn't say it's harder to reflect. I think you can see pretty easily, immediately, the things that we did to be successful in the prior games and what we didn't do in that game. And so, you know, the basics where we played at a much faster pace in the prior games, created a lot of turnovers, got out in the open court, offensive rebounded better outside of game 5. And then we made some more shots. Obviously, that's a part of it. That's what hurt us in game 1 and 2 and game 6. But no, it's pretty easy to look back and see what hurt us throughout the series, the things we did really well, and how that got away from us in game 6. And so, you know, it starts now. We've had exit meetings with guys already, and mapping out the plan for the off season, and talking about negatives, positives, all the ups and downs of this season and where guys grew. And so I think everybody's locked in and using a first round loss as motivation going forward.
Yeah.
Rafael, not having Fred this year and just trying to get somebody to be a primary distributor for you, is that something that you guys identify as a primary target this offseason, even if Fred is back, to have somebody veteran or otherwise that can be able to do that alongside him?
I mean, no, we don't need somebody alongside Fred. If you're saying kind of behind him, like if that's what you meant, like I think maybe, like we'll see how it works. I mean, we were really, really effective this year when Amin was on the court, and so I do think that one area we weren't as skilled as I would have liked, and certainly I think we all like so. like when Reed and Amen were in together, it was way better than in terms of our skill level than it would have been otherwise. I think Fred is like Amen in that he can guard multiple positions. So Fred can play with Reed. He can play with Amen. We can play Fred and Reed and Amen because Amen's so big. So Fred coming back would add a lot. If the opportunity comes in to get a good positive player who's also really skilled, like we'll jump on it. The issue is just like what I don't believe in, I guess philosophically, is just going to get a point guard because they're a point guard. And let's just say somebody is a very good ball handler and passer, but they can't defend and they can't shoot. Well, I'd rather just cobble it together than, okay, yeah, we can get into our offense good, but like no one guards them after they make the initial pass. And then on the other end, they're just a sieve. And those players do exist in the NBA. There's quite a few of them, and they're available. But I didn't think that would make us better on the whole. So I think it's always an opportunity cost. And there's lots of ways to win basketball games. There's lots of ways to lose them. My goal is simply to win. And aesthetics just aren't that important to me. And so like understanding the concern people have about the way things sometimes look, there are trade-offs. And our team this year was very big and we were very physical. And when Fred went down, I think we made a conscious decision just to lean into that. And I think it paid off at times, and at times it hurt us. But again, there's a trade-off. And if you can get a player who's big and physical and a point guard, that's optimal. Those guys are kind of hard to find. So sitting here today, going into the summer, we would like to be more skilled. We'd like to be better shooting. We'd like to do all of that without giving up defense and rebounding. I hope we can do that. Like that's always the goal. But if you can't, then we'll have to make some hard decisions around the margins. I think the timing of when Fred went down dictated our course more than anything else, because at that point in time, and even bleeding into the trade deadline, it was going to be very hard to make a short-term deal that didn't hurt us in the long term, and provided kind of what we thought was an optimal trade-off. And so we did what we did.
These questions for Penny. When you look at this roster as it's currently constructed, I mean, what do you feel like maybe you guys maybe need more of, or where you could really improve? And then secondly, where do you come down on the usage of Durant going forward, as as he gets a little bit older and all of those things? Are you comfortable playing as many minutes in as many games as you did this year, next year?
I would say, variety is good for us, and shooting always stands out. We want, as we mentioned, our guys to have internal growth in those areas, but there are some needs addressed there, and I said it the final press conference, where we have some guys that do a lot of the same things, and so to have a little variety there, specifically shooting, would be good. As Rafael mentioned, whether it was before the season or trade deadline, talking about point guard, the decision we went with Amen and Reed, it really came down to the names that were there, and is anybody going to supplant those guys in their role or take away? We obviously looking at big picture. We didn't want to take away from Reed and Amen's development. So, to this point, if there's a name there or something that makes sense, you look at it. But we also hope that they took steps and grew enough this year to, back up or couple with Fred. And so, that said, I think the shooting is always a thing, like I mentioned, but versatility is a good thing for us, and we have a lot of guys that can play up and down. And when you look at Tari and Kevin, even Jabari, and those guys are playing Alperen with Steven, we go a lot of different ways, and when we're whole, it gives us a lot of options that we didn't have once Steven went down. And so, like you said, we'll look at everything and whatever makes sense, try to add to our team, no doubt. As far as Kevin, I would say, no, you definitely want to shave those minutes down, and that was not the plan going into the season. I think Amen's a little bit different, younger guy that does a ton for us, and we're great when he's on the court, but I'm not a guy that would like our two of our guys being a top 5 minutes wise. And so, Kevin was a guy that was available, outside of missing 2 games personal and sitting one. He really missed 1 game with the ankle injury. And we had a lot of ups and downs with other guys being in and out. And so he shouldered the load. He obviously works extremely hard to be ready for those situations. But yes, you take age and into a factor, and you like to shave that down. But having Fred, Steven back, and Dorian, coming off injury and hopefully better next year, should be able to do that. And I'm in as well. You don't want to rely on anybody. I think our balance is good when everybody's healthy, and that'll help take Kevin's minutes down.
Thank you.
Brandon.
Rafael, what do you feel like is y'all's most realistic or I guess optimal path to add and improve the shooting that we've all talked about at this point? I mean, y'all mentioned the confidence in the young guys. So where does that improvement in shooting overall in the team actually come from?
I mean, I think, it's possible we bring back 15 guys, but it's very unlikely. So I think that as we're looking kind of at filling out the back end of the roster, I don't know that we're gonna like get a shooter who can't do anything else, but like trying to find a quality player who maybe their strength is shooting. I think that makes some sense as well as Ime does. And that can come in a lot of different forms. It might not just be one guy, it might be 2 or 3 guys, like who knows. And then also I think some of our young guys, I think both Jabari and Reed are already very good shooters. The theory of them and my expectation for them is that they become elite. And again, that internal growth changes our dynamic too.
Go ahead.
Rafael, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, when you're saying very skilled, you mentioned you're very skilled with the men on the floor, and then you're looking for that. What are those traits specifically that you would put under the umbrella of being very skilled?
Sorry, I mean, what I was saying is like if he's playing at the 3,
Got it.
and then you've got 2 small guards next to him, that you're probably going to be very skilled because like all of them can dribble. Like when I say skilled, I generally mean dribble and pass.
Okay.
So your ball handling capability. And so if he's your primary ball handler and you don't even have a secondary, you're not probably a very skilled team. You're probably like doing that because you're going to be really, really big and physical, but you're probably foregoing skill. That's what I meant.
Chris.
Rafael, what do you take from Reed's season overall, and how did that impact how you look at what he can be in the future? Is he a starting point guard years down the road?
I mean, my expectation for him is he should be. I think he should be a really good one. I think that's his expectation for himself as well. I actually thought Reed had a great season. He essentially didn't play as a rookie. Like we got him in here and there, but never in kind of a high leverage real way. And he got thrown into the fire, and when he was good, he was really good. And so I think for him, it's finding consistency and just getting and I thought he did over the course of the season, but he needs to he took a big jump last summer in terms of his readiness to enter this year. He needs to do the same thing again this summer, so that going into each game, we're hoping to get great Reed. I don't know that we expected to it. It needs to become the expectation is we get him playing, nightly at his very best. And when he doesn't, we're all surprised. That should be his goal going into next year. But I did think he had a very good year.
Brett.
For both of you, what did you take from a men's season at point guard? How did he perform? How did teams defend him? How did he react? And is that a role you see him continuing to fill moving forward?
I think he had some ups and downs. When you look at him and Reed, and that's not their natural position that they played. Amen's had the ball in his hands a ton. Reed has played more off ball, coming off the bench in Kentucky. With Dillingham, he didn't even play the point. And I think we looked at it coming into the draft. He had 16 pick and rolls as a freshman in Kentucky. So, he's more off ball, moving, even going back to high school, it was a motion offense where he didn't just dominate the ball. And so their growth, we knew they were going to take some lumps with it, some ups and downs. They both progressed and showed, potential at times and making the right play, whether it was to score, make the pass, pocket pass, skip passes, those things. But I look at it like, if you have a rookie quarterback in the NFL, he's played quarterback before. He was drafted to play quarterback. It's different than bringing two guys to play the point guard that really haven't played that spot, and the rookie quarterback is still going to struggle. So of course, if you have guys out of position, they're going to take some ups and downs, but it'll benefit us all going forward. And so for our men, I think it was just that understanding of balance. And the last 2 months of the season, you kind of saw his numbers take off and his comfort level take off there and his understanding take off. And so the paint touches were evident, and not shooting in the crowd or finding his outlets, it became more consistent. And so couple that with Fred coming back, and you don't have to rely on Fred like we did our first 2 years for turnovers and getting us into sets, because you have Reed and Amen that grew in that area. Kevin obviously is part of that, and then you have a unique center who can initiate. And so the balance there should be much better, but I think they both took steps in the right direction as far as playing the point guard, being that was not their natural position coming in.
Just a second. I'm gonna. You asked both of us that question, I believe. Yes. I do want to say I was very happy with him this year. I mean, he played a ton of minutes. He was super durable, and we were just a really good team with him on the court. And so I think he had a really good season to build off of. And to Ime's point, I was really, really pleased with the way he ended the season and some of his last steps. I think a big thing for him is the same thing for Reed, is becoming more consistent with it and really understanding what he wants to do. And then the other one is like doing it in the playoffs too. I thought he had some good games in the playoffs, but I think he's capable of so much more. I think Amen is capable of a lot, and so we're gonna keep pushing him as well.
Yeah.
And this is for both of you. I'll start with you, Ime. Can you just talk about the season that Alpie had, and is there any concern about the summer load weighing on him in terms of injuries throughout the season?
Your light is on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think it was really good for him. We had coaches out there spending a lot of time with him. He obviously had a really good Eurobasket, and the carryover into the season was great. He was in tremendous shape. Played really well. I don't know. I think I did lean on some things in the past in San Antonio days with Manu and Tony and these guys playing in all the European or all the competitions that they played in, and it felt like at some point they all kind of hit a little wall in the middle of the season and needed a little break or reset. And with the injuries this year, it was hard for us to afford that opportunity for Alfie to take a game here or there. Once Stephen goes out and all that, and so I think the carryover was great. We started the season really great in a great spot, very confident and aggressive, and then might have hit a little bit of a wall in the middle, which guys do in general around All-Star break, and you can see some things physically starting to add up. Some getting nicked up here and there, but love how he bounced back and finished as well. And so I think it's always a good thing to continue to play and be in different roles. And like I said, it was not deniable how good he came into the season, and they had great carryover from that.
Good. You answered for me.
Brian, we'll take two more. Go ahead.
Coach, there's a lot of outside noise about the vibes and the chemistry, about your team, about the locker room, especially post All-Star break. Could you just take us into the locker room and tell us, how your players vibe and have the type of chemistry that they have with each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's for us, it's almost a little bit laughable when you hear things, because you're like, where the hell did this come from? And it's the opposite of what we deal with on a daily basis. And I think that be echoed by the players if you ask them, day to day, man to man. And so they all make jokes about it and laugh about the vibe and all that. And I think you saw that throughout the season, but things are said, and it's always been the case. I've been in some bad situations, and we're far from that or anything like that. You go through your normal ups and downs of the season, and guys are frustrated with losing at times, games we shouldn't lose, or whatever the situation may be. But like I said, we almost turn a blind eye to it and make a joke out of it more than anything, because these reports come out and you're like, where'd it come from? What they talking about is the opposite of what we're feeling, and so don't put much stock into it, honestly, and I don't think the guys do either.
Well, yeah, I want to add to that one. One thing I did note, which I thought was really funny, is none of you in this room wrote about that. So the people who were around the team weren't the ones writing it. So that I did find that really interesting, that the people whose faces I see every day, they didn't write that. So those of you who aren't here today, you can note that.
Kelly.
This is for the both of you. Obviously, the cohesion between you, yourself, and ownership has been pretty strong over the last 2-3 years. How is it, or how are those conversations like when you guys don't see eye to eye? And how do you guys find a resolution?
I mean, the premise of your question, I don't think happens very often. So, I mean, I think the reason it works well, I'm not trying to speak for Ime, the reason it works well for me is because when I look at what's happening on the practice court or the game court or the locker room or whatever, and then I go to talk to him, we see the same thing. So like, and then I think it just becomes brainstorming how to fix it or how to enhance it or whatever the case is. But I don't remember I don't remember anything of significance where we actually did disagree. So when that happens, I'll get back to you.
I'd say the same. I mean, it's pretty much aligned on everything, and you know, as far as roster and personnel, people that we targeted and liked, it's been very similar. It's not like he's forced me to take a guy that I didn't think mesh with what we're doing, and so that's what it is. Good alignment.
Thank you, gentlemen.